It is right here, the heart of Reading. Reading is right in the heart of District 28. He's running against, well, I won't even mention her name here. I might get something thrown at me. He married his high school sweetheart. He's the co-founder of Cincinnati Tea Party. And he is
one more round of applause to Tony and Ted because they have mastered that most rare political skills, brevity. No, it's an honor to be here today. It's an honor to be asked to come speak on Lincoln Day for your dinner. And if you had someone else in mind, that was the second choice, please don't tell me. But, no, in all seriousness, it was an honor to be here on Lincoln Day, to have a chance to speak and honor the legacy of one of the people that is typically rated one of our three greatest presidents. A person who was an absolutely amazing orator, and one who was the founder or co-founder of the Republican Party. I'm not a great speaker. I'm just a guy from Pleasant Run Farms who decided that, I wanted to try to get some stuff done, and now here I stand before you, and, here's an example of what makes America great, that someone like me could come out of nowhere and have an opportunity to represent my fellow citizens in the Ohio House. But when Mayor Dennis called me we actually played phone tag. We never actually ended up talking about this. I think we just left each other about 6 months. But, he told me when I came up here I had to talk a little bit about Abraham Lincoln. And, okay, well, I had the standard U.S. history education that I think everybody does. And, so I knew a little bit about Abraham Lincoln, but what did I actually know about Abraham Lincoln? So, I did what a busy political person does, and, I spent this afternoon cramming to learn about Abraham Lincoln. But I felt like I was back in high school and I had an exam tonight that I had to ace. But I spent some time reading about him, trying to figure out what it was that I wanted to talk about. And I found something that resonated with me, that really kind of related to what I was going on today. Lincoln was famous for his oratory. We've heard about the Gettysburg Address. We've heard about both of his inaugural speeches and how amazing that they were. The Emancipation Proclamation. These are foundational documents in American history that are justly revered for how wonderful they were, both not just for their oratory, but for their substance, for their content. But the one that really resonated to me was his speech in 1958 about a house divided. It's one that draws on a biblical, I think it was the Gospel of Mark, where it talked about how a house divided against itself cannot stand. And what he said back in 1858 was that the issue of slavery at the time, which is what was dividing the United States of America, was going to get resolved one way or another. It wasn't possible for a country to go through with essentially the intellectual dishonesty to say that someone could be free in one state but not free in another. All right, that contradiction could not continue to occur, and it was going to get resolved one way or another. Now, clearly he was on the side of the abolitionists, but he wasn't necessarily, he actually took the time to say, I'm not an abolitionist. I don't believe in slavery, but I don't believe in abolishing it right away. But over time, what we found was that even though Abraham Lincoln said, I'm not an abolitionist, he accomplished more for the abolitionist movement than anybody in American history. And so when he talks about the house divided, I unfortunately see America today as a house divided. A theme that I've hit on here in a lot of recent speeches is how you have two fundamentally different views of America and how government works that are at odds with each other that cannot possibly be reconciled. One of them is based on freedom, it's based on liberty, it's based on America's founding documents, the Declaration of Independence, our Constitution, the American Bill of Rights. You have one that has a foundation of liberty, okay, that says you have the ability to go succeed or fail based on your own merits, but it's up to you. And all we guarantee you is that you have the liberty and the opportunity to be successful for yourself. And ultimately, it's you that stands before God saying, I did my best, or I didn't. And then there's another side that says we have what is essentially a European social democracy. Okay, where we have an entitlement state where everybody's provided for from cradle to grave, where you have a claim on the production of someone else, where you have a right to what someone else produces. And ultimately, at this point, we've been able to go forward with this contradiction, I think, for too long, mainly because America is such a rich and wealthy nation. We've been able to go on and we've been able to have some semblance of our freedom and maintain that, while at the same time having the trappings of a European welfare state. But we haven't been able to pay for that, and I think we're finally getting to the point where the money's running out. We're going to have to make a decision. We're going to have to pick which way America is going to go. Like Lincoln said back in 1858, we were a house divided on the issue of what type of government and what type of people we're going to be. And that contradiction is going to solve itself, and it's going to solve itself soon. Obviously, I think the people here believe in freedom. But I want to ask you, when we have a government that can say, you're forced to provide health care for someone else to pay for it, where you say that even a Catholic church organization has to provide contraception or abortion drugs that they don't believe in to someone else. Okay, what type of government do we have? What type of government do we have when they can say to you that person A has a claim on the production of person B? Or what can they say when you are entitled to the fruits of someone else's labors? What is that if not slavery? Okay, and so you see the parallels that I saw in Lincoln's speech in 1858. And I see us standing between a vision of freedom and a vision of slavery and dependence on government. Okay, well, you can tell where I stand. I stand with Abraham Lincoln, and I stand with the rest of the Republican Party squarely on the side of freedom. But it's going to take a lot to roll this back. What we've seen is that 49% of the American people no longer pay income tax. All right, and it was Thomas Jefferson, I believe, that said that when the majority realizes that they can vote away the wealth of the minority, that America will be lost. So I think we stand on the edge of the tipping point right now. And we're going to have to pick which direction we're going to go. And it's going to require everybody in this room to stand up. It's going to require our friends, our family, and our neighbors to stand up and say that we believe in the America that was founded on liberty. All right, we believe in the America where everyone has the opportunity to be free and to be successful. And unfortunately, I think that there's a significant minority of our population at this point who doesn't agree with that. Okay, they think that just because they think that someone deserves, the Democrats love to trot out sob stories about someone who's in pain. And I think the example here lately that to justify this overreach by the Department of Health and Human Services was a woman who had ovarian cancer who couldn't afford birth control pills in order to control it. That's the sob story, right? Okay, but we know that it's about more than that. It's about government control. It's about controlling what you and I do, controlling about what you and I pay for, and that's what we're fighting against. And so I'm proud to stand here before you and say that I'm squarely on the side of freedom, but I'll tell you, this is going to be a long fight. We didn't get here overnight. All right, we can go back and we can look at, I'll actually trace it back to the Roosevelt Supreme Court, when they kept saying that his New Deal programs were unconstitutional. And Roosevelt said, you know what, if you don't stop ruling against me, I'm going to pack the Supreme Court with new people who are going to vote in my favor. And at that point, the floodgates were open for the federal government to do anything they wanted, essentially. For the Commerce Clause to say that, commerce that stays within a state, well, that affects the prices of something in another state, so therefore we can regulate it. All right, and now with Obamacare, okay, we say not only can we regulate, we can mandate that you have to purchase something you don't want, something you don't need, something that violates the precepts of your own conscience. It's why we supported issue 3 here in the state. It's why we passed it 67% to 33%. And it's why we will continue to stand against the federal government that mandates things that we don't want.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be a long fight. Like I said, we didn't get here overnight. The progressives took 100 years to get to this point. They took every opportunity that was given to them, and they continued to move the ball down the field. Well, I'll tell you, they've gotten to the 1-yard line and they're ready to score a touchdown, and it's time for us to make the mother of all goal lines dance. All right, but to do so, it's going to take, I think, some of the principles that Abraham Lincoln brought to the table. When I said he wasn't an abolitionist, he said that publicly, but I think clearly from his actions, he was someone who opposed slavery in all its forms and saw it for the moral stain on America that it was. Okay, he saw how that violated the founding principles of America, how it violated life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, as it was said in our Declaration of Independence. So what I think we have to do is take the lessons of Lincoln as we go forward. We have to be moderate in our tone, but firm in our convictions, and we have to be willing to stand up for what we think is right. Because again, we are on a tipping point, and I'll give you an example today. My wife had to go see the doctor, and as part of that, they decided that they wanted to get her an ultrasound, and she's had some trouble with kidney stones here lately, and so they're trying to figure out why she continues to get kidney stones. And she had a CAT scan back in November, And the doctor said, okay, well, we're going to go do an ultrasound, and maybe we'll do a CAT scan again. All right, we want to take some time, we want to see, well, you know what, someone else is paying for it, so we have to continue to take our time. It's insurance, right? They don't want you to just go and have every diagnostic test right away. They want you to try one, see if that works, try one, see if it works. Well, you know what? She hurts. Okay, she's in pain. She's got problems with the kidneys right now. But I'll tell you, the right way, the middle class way, the American way, is to wait your turn, wait in line, okay, and then go when it's your turn to get it done. All right, but the person who does it the wrong way just goes to the ER and says, I'm in pain, get me a CAT scan. And you know what? America provides it for them. All right, for those who did the right thing, okay, didn't buy more house than they can afford, all right, who didn't take on mortgage debt that they couldn't pay for, all right, right now, the way America is structured, we're the suckers. All right, the people who do the wrong things are the ones who are getting rewarded. All right, and when middle-class America decides we're no longer going to follow the rules because we feel like we're suckers for doing it, that's when it all comes crashing down. And that's the tipping point that I think we face. All right, so let's go forward. Let's be proud to be Republicans. Let's be proud to claim the legacy of Abraham Lincoln. Let's be proud to claim the legacy of our founding fathers. Let's be proud to claim the legacy of Ronald Reagan. Because these are the people who stand for what America was founded on. They're the ones who stand for liberty. They're the ones who stand for the opportunity to be successful and the opportunity to fail. Because you can't have one without the other. All right, it's why I'm proud to be America. It's why this is still the greatest nation on God's green earth. And I will fight to the death in order to defend the principles on which this country was founded. So I greatly appreciate the chance to stand here before you today, the chance to honor the legacy of Abraham Lincoln, and the chance to honor the great history of the Republican Party. Thank you very much. God bless you.